Welcome in. It's almost time.
All right, everybody, welcome in. This is the Sports Hounds, exclusively on A2D Radio.com. Brad Ryer, Doug Mankiewicz. I'm Rob Brinkman. Remember, hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. Football is upon us. Don't miss anything. Live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. If you miss anything here on A2D Radio, download us wherever you get your podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Again, football's upon us. Don't miss anything. Cut days tomorrow. We're talking about the AFC and NFC West tonight. The Souths kind of stink, so we might touch on that at the end of the program and get into some of our official predictions for the NFL next week, because after next week, after Labor Day, you know, it's showtime in the NFL. You got the Chiefs and the Lions on Thursday, and then you get the full slate. Eagles, Patriots up in Foxborough. Doug's Dolphins are going out to Los Angeles, take on the Chargers. So, I mean, it's liftoff time. It's time to go here.
We got the Cowboys in the swamp.
The Cowboys in the swamp. What's the swamp? Is that MetLife?
Yes.
Why do you call it the swamp?
Because it's in the middle of the Meadowlands, which is a swamp.
Okay. That's a nice change. That's a nice change for you guys.
Yeah, they actually get to play at home this time on opening night instead of in Dallas like they do every year.
That's true.
So that'll help.
Always at home.
Yeah, they always play Dallas in Dallas in game one of the season, and it always makes them 0-1. Maybe this year they can change things around a little bit.
Each and every week, we're brought to you by Baguio's Breads, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D Radio. That's 10% off your in-store purchases. You know, we had week 0 last week, Notre Dame USC roll. We got college football this weekend. Then we're into the pros. Go check out Baguio Breads. Get your party platters. Get that 10% off discount. Mention A2D Radio. We're also brought to you by FanUp, the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily MLB and NFL contests. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D. 5,000 bonus points. That's a $50 value. $50 free dollars. All you got to do is tell them A2D Radio sent you. Pick whoever you want. Don't be constricted by the salary cap of the big boys. Just name your captain, get 1.5 points. There's your differentiator. That's only at FanUp. Like I said, we're talking AFC West, NFC West tonight. We're just going to jump right into it. We'll start with the NFC. Do we have to? I mean, the AFC West will be fun. But, I mean, the Rams and the Cardinals not looking great. Niners don't have a quarterback, which brings us to our poll. Geno Smith is the best quarterback in the NFC West. Agree, disagree. Look, I usually don't like to make predictions on playoff teams that are to make deep runs if I don't trust that their quarterback can win multiple games in the playoffs on the road. But the NFC is a different cat this year. Geno Smith's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC, let alone the NFC West. I think at this stage of his career, he's better than Matthew Stafford. I don't know what's going on in San Francisco. I guess Purdy's going to be ready. They trade Trey Lance to the Cowboys, maybe one of the worst trades in NFL history. I think they traded 3 first-round picks to move up and get him, and now he's gone to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th rounder. And then doesn't look like Kyler Murray is going to be playing down in Arizona this year.
They cut Colt McCoy too, didn't they?
They cut Colt McCoy.
So what are you going to go with? Who are they going with?
They got – what's the guy's name? I just had it.
I just looked at the roster. I'm looking at
the Cleveland guy they just traded for.
Florida Gator debacle?
They just traded for the Browns guy.
Dobbs
from Tennessee, yeah. So I guess they're going with him.
Oh,
so,
wow.
I mean, good luck there.
Oh, jeez.
Plus their coach is an absolute moron. He's pretty much still, even though he's not even here anymore, public enemy number 1 in Philadelphia for his game plan in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that leaves Geno Smith. Bounce back year last year.
Wait, we're forgetting about one other guy, aren't we?
Which guy? Stafford?
Yeah.
You think he's better than Geno Smith?
Until Geno Smith does it 2 years in a row, what makes you think he can do it again? They're in the same boat. To me, they're in the same boat, right? Age
He's got
has
really good receivers.
Age has got Stafford, right? And then Geno, but like Geno's never done it 2 years in a row.
He never did it 1 year in a row, though.
Correct.
But last year he was outstanding. I think
he's amazing. But that's like, okay, now if he does 3/4 of the way he played last year, is it a down year for him, or is it just the norm? Until you have something to compare it against, how can you know what I mean? That's where I'm getting at. Like, guy had a great year last year. Was that a great year for him, or was that the norm? You have to put up other years to kind of make that assessment, don't you?
Yeah, but at the same point, though, he actually had a really good offensive line and outstanding receivers. He's never had that before in his career.
I like their running a game too. They got the Charbonnet guy from UCLA. Kenneth Walker, I think, is good too.
I mean, he's driving the Cadillac now. There's a big difference between driving the Cadillac and driving the Volkswagen. You know what I mean, Doug?
Well, for sure. I understand.
Rob. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, look at the team he's got around him, and he's also got a receiver that nobody can cover. That doesn't hurt either.
They got Metcalf. They got Lockett, who's a good player, and they take Najigba Smith out of Ohio State. You know, they bolster. I know this is an offensive poll question, but their defense is really good too. That takes pressure off the quarterback as well. So you have a 30.
And they don't have to play anybody twice. Then their division's terrible.
Right.
I get what you're saying. Like that tells you how bad the NFC West is. When Geno Smith, don't get me wrong, amazing year again, phenomenal year, but if you name another division, Geno Smith's the best quarterback in besides the NFC West.
Probably.
I can't name one.
There isn't one.
No.
That's what I mean. I'm not hating on the guy. I'm just saying, I think it's more of a indicator of how bad the NFC West is over how good Geno Smith is. And take nothing away from him. He played great last year. And I love second chances. I love the fact that, again, you just hit the nail on the head. He's driving a Cadillac now. These high pick guys, first, second round quarterbacks that get flushed into these systems, you're playing. There's a reason why you got pick number one, because your team stinks. I mean, and some of these guys they never quite get there to their potential because they never get anybody around them. And go back to what you said about the Niners. I actually like the fact that they were smart enough to say, you know what, we're cutting bait now. More organizations would be better off if they did that, knowing their mistakes and admitting them immediately, than trying to hang on to somebody because so-and-so drafted him and we gave up this for him. If he's not in your future, move him now. So, there's two schools to that. I've seen the Dolphins forever try to hang on to guys, and even Tua, they're jamming them down our throat. You know, and yes, when he plays, he's good. When he doesn't play, there's not a big drop-off between our backup and what Tua does. I'm sorry. Because you can't depend on Tua. Getting off topic, but the point is, these guys get I applaud the Niners for going ahead and saying, hey, we got two other guys, and he's not in our future. And like I said, instead of wasting 4 or 5 years trying to jam someone you know is not your future on your throat just to save face from the organization or someone's job in scouting or whatever, they realize it, they moved on, and look where they are.
That's true, Doug. I mean, can you make the same case for Brock Purdy, though? I mean, we talked about Geno Smith, okay? Brock Purdy played pretty well last year.
He did, 100%.
Can we honestly expect him to play that well again this season?
I think so. The only thing that's different is his injury. He has no elbow. Am I right? Is that the one?
Well, yeah, that's part of it.
Right, but okay, go one better. Since we're going to talk about the teammates around him, who do you trust more offensively minded, Shanahan or Pete Carroll?
That's a tough one. I mean,
right.
I like Pete Carroll.
I like Shanahan better now. I do. I think where they are now, I think he's, you can't take away the fact that Carroll's Super Bowls and, you take away the dumbest call in the history of the NFL on the one where they threw a pick.
Well, that's the dumbest call in history, yes.
Well, that's a whole other show.
Yeah.
But, that was the dumbest call in the history of sports, let alone the NFL. But he's gotten them there, 2 times, 1-1, right? Am I right? 1 or 2? One.
He won one.
He won one and lost one, right?
One, yeah.
Yeah.
And to do the same thing offensively, I just think Shanahan, I think he does more with less than Carroll does. Carroll does, obviously coaches are better when their players are better, right? You have a better scheme when you have the people you want in place. But it just feels like no one knew who Brock Purdy was. Am I wrong? He was their second, or he was their third string quarterback.
Yeah, he was.
All of a sudden, they didn't skip a beat offensively. Like, that's where.
Yeah, and he was throwing passes and playing like the number one quarterback.
Right. And if that's the argument, then
they trusted him.
Pete Carroll got Russell Wilson $200 million because he just did the same thing offensively with Geno Smith. Yes or no?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So maybe we overhyped Russell Wilson, which I love Russell Wilson. I'm all for the undersized guy getting a shot to play in the NFL. For how many years when we were younger, did we ever hear of if you were 5'9", 5'11", you never got a shot. Doug Flutie was crucified. And then finally someone gave him a chance in Canada, and he played forever, and he became like a folk hero. But if Doug Flutie came out today, someone would make him, an offensive juggernaut in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, remember Drew Brees was pretty short too, wasn't he?
Right, but and Doug Flutie was way more explosive than Drew Brees. Drew Brees was better arm, better feet, right? Drew Brees has got accuracy. Best decision he made was sticking with was going to New Orleans and not Miami. He could thank Nick Saban forever for the rest of his life because Nick Saban wanted Dante Culpepper instead of Drew Brees, and I did too. I'll be the first one to admit that I'm a Dante Culpepper fan. I watched him play in high school.
Dante Culpepper was great, though.
He was phenomenal.
If he didn't hurt his knee, if he didn't hurt his knee, God knows what he would have done.
I'm biased. I watched him play high school.
I got you. I just liked him. I thought he was a great quarterback when he was playing.
Big.
Before he got hurt. I mean, he was unbelievable. He was a larger version of Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm. For
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, that was a huge debate in the 99 draft. The Eagles, the Browns had the first pick because they were an expansion team, but the Eagles were second.
Yeah. And I think they took Couch, right?
For like 17 years, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know. No, because 98 was Couch, I think. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forget if McNabb was not whatever. McNabb, you had McNabb, Culpepper, Akili Smith, Cade McNown, all in the same draft.
Akili Smith went before Donovan, right? Did McNabb go after Akili Smith? Because Akili Smith went third, right, to the Bengals?
Yes, he did.
I think McNabb went second. But it was neck and neck for a while there between McNabb and Culpepper. And Andy Reid said Culpepper wasn't going to be able to play in the cold because his hands were too small.
Too small.
That's what Andy Reid said. But, yeah, I mean, I'll get to some comments here. Chucks, Mataran, check him out on Birds of a Feather every Thursday night. Absolutely agree with the poll. He's a Geno Smith believer. You remember he came in last year, he obviously did good. And another reason why I think he can sort of repeat. Look, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Does he stink? No. Is he what he was last year? No. It's probably somewhere in the middle. That's how it always is. Last year he's 32, which is hard to believe that he's having his breakout season in his age 31 season. But, that's probably the best he can do. That doesn't mean he can't be good this year. But then the poll is, I think he's better than – because I guess the Niners are starting Sam Darnold in week 1 if Brock can't go.
Which that guy's becoming the Mike Morgan of NFL football because
Mike Morgan. I remember him.
It's a different jersey.
How many teams did he play for?
56. He was a teammate of mine and Babe Ruth all at the same time. Love Mo Man. But no, I think you're right. I think you're somewhere in the middle. But again, we're raving about him. He went 9-8 last year. And that's I'm not hating the guy, but I'm all for the second chances. Who knows? Geno Smith might have been this guy in New York if he had the right coaches. That's the one thing people don't understand. Some people forget that sometimes it takes you to get the right system, and all of a sudden, voila! I'm pulling for him, hoping he does well, hoping he does the same thing again. Because, but I also think that one of the only teams in the NFC that's going to give the Eagles a run for their money is the Niners. Like they had a quarterback with no elbow last year. Granted, the game was out of hand by that point, but like if that guy can throw it all, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, they couldn't throw.
Couldn't do anything. They're all one-dimensional. Like the Eagles' defense is too good to be one-dimensional. But
yeah, they're pretty darn good if you're two-dimensional. Let alone
exactly. But
I would trust Geno Smith to repeat his success of last year over Brock Purdy, even if he didn't get injured. Brock Purdy can't play on the road. Brock Purdy rolled up some.
He can't run like Geno Smith either. Geno Smith's a dynamic runner.
That running game travels. That running game travels.
It's Seattle. They can run the ball too.
I get that.
They got the receivers are probably pretty even. I mean, Samuel is really great. Is he better than Metcalf? I don't. He's
5-4 at home in Seattle. 5-4.
I know.
In that place, how do you lose 4 games in that place? I would think that stadium alone wins 2 games a year.
Yeah.
The noise?
Yeah, but I think they'll be better this year. I like them to win the division, to be honest with you.
Ooh. I like Seattle a lot too. Yeah. I might be biased against the Niners because I'm an Eagles fan, and they're just I don't know. They're so consumed with hate for one team, and I feel like they're only focused on beating the Eagles that it might hurt them. That'll be on Shanahan and the coaching staff to get them focused. And I don't know. I don't care how good your scheme is. Sam Darnold is just.
We'll see.
We'll see. He's going to
this year.
With Sam Darnold, it's either.
If they go 13-4 with him under center, like he's the best coach in the NFL.
Yeah,
by far. You're right about that.
Yep. Goodness gracious!
Yeah, like, my father had a term. Okay, and I think it's apropos here for Sam Darnold. It's time to either shit or get off the pot.
Amen.
Yep. And that's the whole deal with Sam Darnold. No more excuses anymore. No more the Jets stink. No more Carolina stunk. Now you've got a really good team around you.
Right.
So
you're driving a Porsche now.
Yeah.
Don't crash.
Not a Cadillac. You're driving a Porsche now.
Right. You're driving a Porsche.
So yeah. So I mean, you've got a great running game. You got all kinds of guys to throw the ball to. So, I mean, their receivers are just as good as Seattle's probably if you count everybody. If you count the tight end, I mean they're an extremely talented team. But if they can't throw the ball down the field and they have to run the ball, that's not going to work.
John Haddock, Rams take the West.
Oof. That's a big if.
I know preseason doesn't mean anything, but they looked really bad in preseason.
Oh.
Yeah, but they've always looked bad under McVay in preseason. To be
fair. But they took it to a whole different level this year, though, Rob.
I can't really speak to preseason. I didn't even watch the Eagles hardly at all in preseason. I just look at the injury report that they had for the game and clean bill of health. We're good. Not worried about it because these guys don't play. They don't play at all. It's almost like the first 2 games. Like, bet the under. Bet a bunch of unders in the week 1 because it's going to be sloppy. There's going to be penalties. Like, these guys just aren't crisp. Like, no one on the Eagles played. Brad, I don't know, or Doug with your Dolphins and Giants.
Tom DeVito played for the Giants.
I do know Daniel Jones did see snaps, though, correct?
In the second game, he saw 1 series and he got a touchdown, and that was it. Aaron Rodgers saw 2 series this past weekend against the Giants. And the Giants had cashiers and guys who pick up the trash and those kind of guys playing. But he did lead the Jets to 2 touchdowns.
And I can't imagine.
2 was too busy yelling at Ryan Clark, so.
Yeah, I would assume that he didn't play at all.
Yeah.
The only thing we have going for us, I was hoping, like you talking about week 1, like when people play in Miami on week 1, you see what teams actually took conditioning seriously and what team didn't, because those guys are boiling come halftime.
Is that in?
Oh, yeah.
That's down in South Beach? I thought that was out west.
No, it's out west. That's why I was hoping the game was at.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, but if it's in San Diego is no bargain either.
Yeah, but it's not. It's nowhere near the same thing. I mean,
there's no humidity. There's no humidity.
Yeah, that's true.
That stuff in Miami, man, that come like September, I mean, it's hard to watch. It's hard to sit there and watch a game, let alone be on the field and play. Like that last year's Buffalo game. It's the whole reason why.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, and the Bills and the Bills had to sit in the sun the whole game.
That's the one. Finally, we've done something as a Miami sports fan where we actually take advantage of the fact that of a home field advantage. We finally put the visitors in the sauna.
Hey, it's called home field advantage. Correct?
Finally, yeah, I know.
All right, so
finally,
well, do you at least wear the white? Do you at least? I don't know what the Dolphins do.
We'll wear the all white. When it's 1,000,000,000 degrees.
There you go.
Make the Raiders when the Raiders come, we make them wear their black jerseys every time. Every time.
Smart.
Yeah. It's only advantage for 2 decades once Marino retired.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rams in the West, Stafford would have to regain supreme form.
Is Cooper
Kupp
going to be healthy?
Do we know that?
He had a hammy in camp.
Like, is that like a real hammy, or is it like the camp? The I'm a veteran camp hammy.
A good question.
You know what I mean? Like, is
Nobody
that
really knows?
Like, I don't want to go to training. I don't want to go to training camp.
Yeah, I'm not going out there. Are you nuts? Like,
yeah, or my aching back.
Right. I'll go catch 12 for 145 on week 1. Trust me, I'm good.
Yeah.
Which could happen.
Will happen. Yes.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And that's a big. There's a lot of swing games in week 1. The Dolphins and the Chargers. That's a swing game, I think.
We owe them. I will say that's not a swing game. I will be shocked if Miami wins that game. Shocked.
I wouldn't be.
I mean, you're going to need these tiebreakers.
They shut us down last year. Not their offense. Their defense shut us down. We couldn't move the ball at all.
Did Tua play in that game?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
We made it close late, but we could not it was the ugliest game offensively, I think, in my opinion, we played all year. It was like they know what we're doing. Because you're used to seeing Tyreek Hill at least have a 5-foot radius circle around him when he catches passes, and he was they knew exactly where he was going at all times. It just seemed like it wasn't like Tua was off. It wasn't like we were, they were everywhere.
And then, I mean, the Rams, they're going up to Seattle in week 1. I mean, that's a swing. I mean, that's a swing game. A lot of things would have to go. They don't have Ramsey anymore. The Rams. But I mean, for the Rams, so John, so if the Rams want to win the West, I'm not going to say anything's impossible because the Cardinals aren't winning the West. I would say that's impossible.
That's the only thing you got. The only thing you can honestly say the Cardinals are not winning the West.
No.
But I mean, a lot would have to go right. You're gonna need Cam Akers, your Seminole, right? He went to Florida State, right?
Yeah, it was good, but I want.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have to step up. Cooper Kupp's gonna have to be healthy. Stafford's gonna have to be healthy, and they're gonna have guys that.
Derwin James gonna stay healthy. Doesn't Derwin James play in their secondary? Seminole? I thought he did.
He's on.
He might.
He was on the. I think he's on the Chargers.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I was still. My head's still on Miami. I was trying to think.
He's
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Healthy. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's really good. You got me all flustered with the Cam Akers and the Florida State, and I was thinking about the guys that were together on that team, and I don't know why that just spit out.
I thought he was going to be so good when he got drafted.
Who?
Cam Akers.
Yeah, he was a lot of hype.
So good.
He had hype come out. I never saw what the hype was in Tallahassee. Don't get me wrong, he had some games where damn, and he had some runs where you're wow. But maybe it's because we got spoiled with Dalvin Cook, where Dalvin Cook was like a video game. Dalvin Cook at Florida State was a joke. It was the closest thing to me, in my opinion, that Herschel Walker was in the 80s with Georgia. You just couldn't tackle him. It was just he had no offensive line. He just ran around everybody and was see you later. But Cam was supposed to be that type. And he had some runs Dalvin-esque, but it never was. And granted, don't be wrong, the teams that Dalvin was on were way different than the teams that Cam Akers were on. If it wasn't for Cam Akers, I don't think we would have scored a point that year. So, but yes, he's coming off injury again. He did something last year, and he came back halfway through the year. So you don't know. I mean, the Rams, let's not forget, a couple years ago they were Super Bowl champs.
Yes.
Yeah, but the problem is they did it with a lot of old players.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
But
I mean, that was kind of they went all in that year. And thankfully for them, they got the ring. So I mean, listen, if you go all in and you win, you can forgive, and if they have a couple of bad years.
Yeah, but they went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff.
That's true. True.
Again, we're not asking them to win. We're not asking them to win the AFC, East here. We're asking them to win.
No.
And that first game is going to tell you a lot. I think, as much as I don't put a lot of stock in early games, but like those are the games you look back and go, oh.
Well, if they lose like 38-17, then I think you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That would be a pretty good indicator. If they give Seattle a run for their money, if it's like 28-24 or something like that, then okay.
That's a division that, barring a major injury to someone's quarterback, could be just a complete muck-up. Outside of the Niners, I think the Niners can handle it because, I mean, my gosh, it's almost like they're like, okay, we went to the NFC Championship with Brock Purdy. We're going to start Sam Darnold and see how good we are.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just see if we can just solidify we're the smartest people in the history of the world. We're going to start Sam Darnold.
And then just piggyback.
Maybe they will.
And then just to piggyback on stuff we were talking about last week with the salary cap, like they were able to sign Hargrave off the Eagles, who had 10 sacks in the defensive tackle position because they're not paying their quarterback anything.
Correct.
So they added a pretty good interior defensive lineman to go with, a lot of good players.
Already good parts.
Yeah.
And I just, again, reading this, I said, like, Stafford, yeah. I mean, he's the most, right? He's the most, what's the word you want to look for? He's done it the longest, right? He's the most polished, right? But he's getting older. Stafford, to me, Purdy, I want to see what his elbow looks like when he comes back, right? Second year, new elbow. Not saying it was Geno Smith, but like.
But now there's film on him.
Correct. And that's.
It's like there's film on Smith, too.
And I just worry about, I don't know, something about, like, it's like pitchers with their shoulder. People worry about their elbow. I'm worried about pitchers' shoulders. Quarterback and their elbow, man, that's like, it took down Joe Montana. Joe Montana is one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback of all time. That elbow took him down.
Definitely messed up my boy out in Buffalo, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. So I mean, that was rough for Josh Allen when the Jets that game when they lost to the Jets in at the Meadowlands. I mean, he took a beating. Yeah.
And that was the game when he hurt his elbow.
You could probably say it's one of the worst divisions in football outside of the Niners, but it's the most intriguing too because you have you can watch all kinds of comebacks. If you're into comeback stories, that whole division is full of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the NFC South is the worst division in football, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
because there's not a legitimate good team in there. I mean, you could say the AFC South isn't very good either, but Tennessee's not terrible, and Jacksonville's not terrible either.
Tennessee's been good the last couple of years.
You think that they'd be better with now that they have a receiver to go with the running back. That should really. I mean, you would think Hopkins would have some kind of a positive impact on that team.
I hope so.
John Attic. That division is like the East. Not a lot of back-to-back seasons in the West. Seattle's a question mark. Rams take the division. Niners crash and burn with QB brains. Who's ours? Yeah, I mean, no one. We're gonna have a lot of Eagles fans. We're gonna have a lot of Eagles fans in this chat tonight, like we always do, and they don't like the Niners. We don't like the Niners at all.
Does anybody? I'm a Giant fan. I hate the Niners.
You hate the Niners from the 80s, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I hated the Niners from the 80s.
I couldn't stand Ronnie Lott.
They're fans. They come in and they talk a bunch of trash and they cause a ruckus. And the Eagles fans are like, no, you're not doing that here. Sit down and shut up.
Then they get smoked.
Then they get smoked. Well, I mean, like the national media doesn't treat us fair, Doug, at all.
Keep going.
some of this stuff that happens in other places, if it happened in Philadelphia, like I think I don't know where the game was. I think it was in Chicago, but it was the Chicago White Sox and the Oakland A's. 2 people got shot inside the stadium. No one died, and I think everyone was okay. But like if that happened in Philadelphia, holy smokes, it would be.
That would be on CBS. That would be on the CBS Evening News.
Brian
I
Gumbel.
can honestly say I've been on the bus going to the stadium in a lot of cities in the postseason. The only one that had people dressed in business suits and business attire that rocked a bus heading to the field was in Philly.
Yeah? What year was that?
That was 2009. I was the Dodgers. They were rocking the bus.
Really?
I was like, this is the only place. I was laughing. I thought it was I loved it. I was like, look at this. These people have like Wall Street jobs and they're shoving the bus. I go, this is great. I go, you don't get this everywhere. It's like, this is all you sheltered guys from LA you don't see. Like this happens all the time in the Yankee Red Sox rivalry right here. This is great. This is great. Oh yeah.
Wow. Oh yeah. Listen, it happens in Queens too. Don't kid yourself. They're pretty aggressive.
The Mets, they've crawled into a hole. I mean, the Mets, the Padres, and the Nationals all have the same record going into today.
Just can't wait for it to be over.
I can't talk because you know what, my team is pretty bad too. So.
I can't imagine. Like that's the worst part of baseball is when you stink and you know you stink and you're out of it and you have to play September. You're like, just get this over with. Just get this over with. I want to do nothing but get home and start over and like take a shower like the crying game where you're scraping just the ickiness off you for the next 6 months.
I mean,
it's got to be tough to play like that unless you're a rookie trying to prove yourself. I mean, but as a
young guy, it's great. But if you're an older guy, you're like, man, they're trying to get rid of me. They're not going to let me play. I got incentives. They're not letting me finish. Like it's just crazy.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, yeah.
So, Doug, cut down day in the NFL is tomorrow. They got to get to 53 by 4:00. Like, spring training comes around. Is that nerve-wracking?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, when you're young, you're freaking, right? When you're established, you don't think anything of it. You're more shocked at, like, maybe – because, like you're – once you establish yourself, you're like 3, 2, 3, 4 in there. Now you start playing GM, right? You're like, oh, they're going to keep this guy. Maybe if they keep this guy, and you see if you're right or wrong. And then when you get older, like when you're towards the end and like you're the non-roster guy and you're just like kind of doing the math and, you know, your agents talk to them and they, you know, even that's not really the honest. It's not all the truth. But, yeah, you're, you know, until your butt's on the plane going north, don't celebrate just yet because crazier things have happened. You know, but yeah, football has got to be a lot different because there's so many spaces. Like 53 is a lot, but when you add up all the, you know, you're talking 22 right out of the chute, right? Starters that you know are making the team. And then you're talking about each roster for the most part, you're talking 4 to 6 guys where you're like, you know, it depends on how the roster's broken down, right? More receivers, less backs, whatever it is. But your heart's in your throat, man, because you're like, it's your dream's this close. And all you want to do is, you know, because there's something special about opening day. There's no two ways about it. Like getting called up in the middle of the season is great, but like you're really truly an NFL guy or really truly a big leaguer when they call your name on opening day. That's when you break camp with somebody is when it really hits home. And that's, you know, these guys, it's got to be a tough. I can't imagine those guys getting much sleep.
That would be equivalent to like when they run through the tunnel as on opening day in the NFL, right?
Yeah, you get to come out for the first time. And you're like, wow, I'm officially an NFL player. You know, it's not like you're, you know, practice team or whatever it is, and you get, you know, you get, and even when you get, like I said, even it's not like you're in the middle of October and they need a special teams guy and you're on the. That's still phenomenal. But like when you make it on opening day, like you earned the choice. It wasn't because of injury. You were picked one of the 53 guys to go out on that sideline.
Bob Bring, the NFC West will beat each other up except for Arizona. I mean,
I think so.
Sounds like me and Brad kind of like the Seahawks. Doug, sounds like you're on the Niners. Are we thinking Rams around 500? Do we think everyone's around 500?
I think the Rams. I think the real race of that division will be for second between Seattle and the Rams. It just depends.
Could very well be.
I mean,
I don't see the Rams going 5-12 again, or 5, whatever they were last year.
I could see 8 and 9.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just good enough to be mediocre. Win a couple games they shouldn't, lose a couple games they shouldn't, and you're kind of right around that mediocrity NFL.
They're like in the same. I kind of put them in the same boat as the Vikings. They could, if they can win some close games, and not lose to any bad teams. Yeah, they could be good. But they're going. That there's going to be a couple of games where they just have mind-boggling losses because that's just the way they've always been, except for the year they won the championship.
I know they're going to beat the Eagles on October 8th. It's my birthday. The Eagles haven't won on my birthday weekend in 15 years.
Oh,
so I know that's a win. That's a win for them. Guaranteed. Lock it in.
When you know you're a super fan, right there.
But it's true. Actually, no. They won when Carson Wentz was doing his thing. That's the last one they won. 17. And I had a bad losing streak before that. They won in 2017. And then now they shit the bed every game on my birthday. And I don't like the spot for the Eagles in that game. We're getting into the schedules and things like that probably next week, but I think that's got trap game written all over it.
That's gonna be fun. You gotta figure out who's gonna be like this year's surprise. Who's gonna be this year's Giants, right? No one saw that coming last year.
It's tough.
No, that's true.
Because who can you really eliminate in the NFC? Not many.
Everybody's got a shot.
Cardinals. Probably the Commanders.
I'm not writing. They're probably going to finish last in the East. But, I can't sit here and just completely write them off.
They have a good defense. That's the thing. And they also have McLaren on their offense who can definitely.
Well, remember they bring in Bieniemy to run their offense now.
Yeah. Right. I Washington, as a fan of other conference, if I'm a Dolphins fan, I don't want to play Washington. I just feel like there's just nothing positive that can come out of it. It's a game where they always beat somebody every year, right? They always
Dallas
1 to 3 games that they beat they shouldn't beat, then they lose some games. You're like, what? But
they always beat Dallas, Doug.
I always feel like
every year
they're like the best 8 and 9 NFL team in the history of the NFL. I feel like over the last 10 to 15 years, they beat better teams more than most teams do, in my opinion.
Well, didn't they beat the Bucs the year they won the Super Bowl at home? I think they smacked them around that game, if I remember.
They were the Eagles' first loss last year on Monday night in Philly.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
They get a bad rap.
That's always a split.
They demolished Dallas last year too.
Yeah,
in Washington.
That was in the last week. That was in the last week, right?
I think so. They demolished Dallas though.
They always find. I feel like you can write off the Bears. They're terrible.
They're bad.
No Justin Fields. Not a Justin Fields guy.
No.
He has no help.
You can only run around for so long before you get hit once, and then that show's over. I think the surprise team the other way is going to be the Vikings this year. I think if they came back with the same exact team and the same schedule, if they would have lost 6 more games last year, no one would have been you would have been like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? They won 5 or 6 games. You're like, they're not winning that. There's no way. And then something magical happens, a late drive, whatever. They very easily could have lost 5 or 6 more games last year.
You mean like the Colt game when they were down 33-0?
Yeah, that's and even that one, they had a couple of late minute drives. Were and then
that was a bit. I mean, listen, the Colts were terrible last year, but that was an unbelievable comeback, though.
To come back from 30 points in the NFL, they're still professionals.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I just feel like those games like that, they could be. They might have one of those 5 and 12 years.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe the Saints come back this year. Maybe Derek Carr is the answer, and he gets that motor running with the Saints.
Baker Mayfield in Tampa.
In Tampa.
Yeah, you never know, but boy, I don't know. Was it Baker's thumb or does Baker just stink?
I just think he's average.
I'm over the Baker Mayfield experiment.
I did.
Like, what are you? What are you? Like, who are you? Like, what are you? Like, do you fist pump? Are you Trent Dilfer? Like, what are you? Please stand up.
I did one of these websites on Twitter. They did like a Madden simulation and posted their results in an article, and it was the Chiefs and the Bucks in the Super Bowl.
How are the Bucks going to get the Super Bowl?
I don't think the Bucks.
I don't know.
They just pull it out of a hat?
It's video games. It's wild. People think that they're real and accurate.
Yeah, well,
Dak won MVP in this simulation as well.
Well, Dak may not be the quarterback by the middle of the season.
He's another one.
I mean, as far as the South goes, like, I think people are overthinking the South. Like, it's the Saints, right? They have the most good players. They have the best quarterback.
You would think so. I mean,
I see a lot of.
The Saints do have a real good defense.
Yeah, they have the bet. To me, I know the Bucks get a lot of hype on their defense, and arguably they should. But I feel like the Saints' defense has been better than the Bucks, and they won a Super Bowl. Obviously, they had Tom Brady, but I think the Saints' defense is the best in that division.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think
I see a lot of hot takers with like the Falcons and the Panthers winning the I don't see that at all.
Not yet.
We'll see with Bryce Young. I think they should have taken C.J. Stroud because he's bigger and stronger, but I guess we'll see. But I mean, like, you traded all your weapons to get that pick, so now you have an undersized quarterback with no weapons in Bryce Young in Carolina.
Who's going to find out real fast how fast the NFL is with no blocking?
Yeah.
And then
all I have to do is call Tua. Just give Tua a buzz.
Let's go to the AFC West.
Yeah, let's have some fun with the AFC West.
Do we have to?
Well, it's going to be.
You don't like the AFC West either?
No, I love the AFC West. It's a one horse show.
So you're not into the. You're not
love
into
Herbert. Love Herbert, but trust me, I would love to have Herbert over Tua because that's the pick we should have taken, in my opinion. But I just think the gap is and I think Herbert's obviously one of the most exciting quarterbacks of the future. He's already been great, best young quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. Under that certain age, but the gap between Mahomes and everybody else is just it's ridiculous. Let's be honest. The Eagles were, to me, and this is someone who doesn't have a dog in either fight. Talent-wise, the Eagles had a better team than the Chiefs. Their team was better.
Agree.
1 through 53, their team was better. Scheme better, everything else. The X factor, when you can just, even on one leg, just figure it out and, give it to Kelsey.
The defensive coordinator didn't blitz at all.
Ever. I'm sorry, you have a wounded duck back there. Go get him.
Yeah. No, that was
that was a
mistake.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. The Holmes is just that. I mean, he's just that much better. He's obviously uber talented, but he's got the it factor too, which isn't fair to everybody else. I mean,
yeah, he's just. It just seems like when once he gets rolling, he's impossible to stop.
It's no matter what he does. It's this is the way I look at it. You're almost shocked when he doesn't convert a third down. If he doesn't put points on the board, you're almost like, wow, what did they do? What happened?
Yeah, what happened? What
happened? Was there a penalty? Was it even at 3rd and 22? You're like, oh, he's got 2 downs to do this. It's you don't have. Whenever they stop him, you're like, okay, what happened? Who screwed up? What receiver ran the wrong route? What happened? Somebody fell down. You know what I mean? That's just, and I thought the Eagles did a great job of their defense in the Super Bowl. Phenomenal.
Well, especially in the first half. Second half. not as much in the second half
as they can look. But like still, it's like that guy's just it's just
And to win a championship, I mean, from 2004, like you got a couple of breaks
for sure
in that comeback that changed the whole momentum of the series. Dave Roberts steals a base. I remember, I think it was Ruben Sierra hit a ball, and it was a ground rule double.
That was Tony Clark.
Tony Clark, sorry.
Yeah,
and it bounces a different way. It's only a ground rule double, keeps a run off the board, changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
The two big X factors in that Super Bowl were
Joe Torre letting Quantrill pitch to Ortiz.
Nobody could get Ortiz out. I don't know if you can.
I brought Quantrill in the face Veritek, and I was at third going like, are you serious? And then Tech popped up. And extra innings. I'm like, Tech, seriously? Like, really? Not to get off topic. I had a double off Heredia, got to the third with 2 outs, and they brought Quantrill. I'm like, Tech eats this guy's lunch. Like, yeah, I get to score the winning run.
No, none of us were very confident about him closing the deal.
Popped up. I was a third and 1 out. I'm like, oh, this game's over. Like, they're not pinch running for me. This is perfect. I'm gonna be on Sports Illustrated. I'm gonna score the winning run at home. First pitch, change up, pop up to the pitch. I'm like, damn it, Barrett. Damn it, Tech. Like, get a better pitch. It's like, shit, come on, man. It's the first time I've been on base in 2 weeks.
But, I mean, the two X factors in the Super Bowl were the fumble at the end of the first half that resulted in a touchdown. In the second half, Eagles had a special teams lapse, and they let that punt return go. They went all the way down, to the 6.
Go one better. The tackle out of bounds from the Bengals the week before, or 2 weeks before, made that kickable.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
They might have been.
You don't know. The game goes OT. Joe, you don't know. Joe.
Yeah, it depends who wins. It depends who wins the coin toss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're right. You need breaks. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like when the Patrick Mahomes is just a different. Right. We all know that he's just different. Right. He just freaking doesn't like. There's not too many guys that when the play is locked down, it can go off script and he can kill you. That's him.
Yeah, because he can throw it. He's probably better than half the quarterbacks in the league if he played left-handed.
That's very true. That's very true.
What amazes me about him is that it's not just when he runs how he can gash you. It's how he can just avoid the rush and then just keep the play alive and in different areas of the pocket until somebody's open, and then in a wink of an eye with that quick release, the ball's already in their hands. I mean, it's very hard to stop.
You could I'm a fan just because I could Pat was on the Twins when I was coming up.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did you ever face his father?
I hit a home run from a AAA one time. I was rehabbing, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay, no, I'm just curious.
Pat was Pat and LaTroy were like boys. LaTroy Hawkins is Patrick Mahomes' godfather. And I just remember being a younger twin in the minor leagues, you hear about the guys in the big leagues and all you hear is their names and you're just in awe of them. And Pat and LaTroy were just guys that you were in awe of. And we remember, there's, seeing pictures of Mahomes' little boy running around in the outfield. That's him, now he's tearing up the NFL. So it's it's just stuff like that. You have memories of that stuff, and listening to Troy's stories all the time of you can tell Pat and his mama raised him right, and he's respectable and he does it right, and he doesn't he said he lost Tyreek Hill. You didn't hear him complain about one time. You didn't hear anything.
No, he just seems like seems like such a grounded guy. You never hear any.
We'll just keep going, and we don't.
You never hear any him talk badly about anybody.
Nope. And that's a you pull for people like that for sure.
The one thing, I'm pretty high on the Chargers this year. Are they going to overtake the Chiefs for the division? I don't know, but they got a new offensive coordinator. They bring in Kellen Moore from the Dallas Cowboys. Kellen Moore was kind of, the whipping boy down there for Dak's struggles last year, but I don't buy that. I think Dak just isn't that great, and I don't think he's going to be any better this year with McCarthy calling the plays, but I think when you get Kellen Moore with a Justin Herbert, I think that can put the Chargers over the top where they're not blowing 27-0 leads in the wild card game against the Jaguars.
I'm curious to see though, like it helps you answer that question, right? Like, I understand, like, you don't blame the coach for the plays you call and all the other stuff, but like, what forced Dak to make that many turnovers? Like, at what point do you not say, hey, okay, we're gonna maybe he did. Maybe he tried to pull it back and be like, let's run it some more to keep away from turning the ball over. And they were like, no, keep pressing the envelope. So, because I do think that Herbert has the ability to not only light it up, he can also give it to the other team too. If you start letting him gunsling it a little bit, we'll see. One of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL is Dan Marino. He wasn't afraid to throw picks.
Neither was Brett Favre, and he was pretty darn good too.
So, I'm curious to see what they, if they take him to another level, or if they keep where he's at, or if he learns from mistakes. I'm curious to see Herbert get better, but also if this Moore guy if he got blamed more than what he should have for what happened in Dallas.
And then you have Sean Payton coming to town in Denver. Never been a Sean Payton guy. Thought Drew Brees carried him. But, I mean, he's got a lot of work on his hands. That team was a disaster last year in Denver. Russell Wilson wasn't good. They were fighting on the sidelines. Hackett was a terrible hire. Basically, they hired Nathaniel Hackett because he's got a close relationship with Aaron Rodgers. And then when they didn't land Aaron Rodgers, it's kind of like, well, we just kind of hired this guy for no reason. Jerry Jeudy's out for the foreseeable future with a hamstring for Denver. I don't know. A lot of people are on that Denver train, I feel like, because half these teams that made the playoffs last year aren't going to make it this year.
Oh yeah. Oh shoot.
So I mean, I feel like a lot of people are on that Denver train, and I'm just not buying it.
They're going to have to be like. Then again, what's an improvement? 6 and they won 5 games last year, so they're definitely going to be better than they were.
Right, and they won 5 games, and Seattle had their pick.
Right.
Because of the Russell Wilson trade. So I'm not buying Denver, really. Not buying Sean Payton, not buying Russell Wilson. They seem to play the Chiefs. They seem to be the only team in that division that plays the Chiefs tough.
Well, the Raiders do too.
And then there's the outlier. I don't think the Raiders are as bad as the Cardinals.
Oh, they're not nearly as bad as the Cardinals.
I mean, Jimmy G's smart. Like, they still have Devontae Adams, which I can't say that
I'm shocked that Devontae Adams didn't want to get traded.
Oh, he got his money.
I know, but still, wouldn't you think that he'd want to be on a good team?
I mean, sometimes
I give him credit that he's not.
Sometimes you got to pick, Brad, because he didn't want to he didn't want to go back to Green Bay because he didn't know what it's a darkness retreat saga every offseason with Aaron Rodgers. He's like, I want some certain. Now, obviously, it didn't work because he was with Derek Carr for 1 year, and now Derek Carr's gone. Now they got Jimmy G, and they have Josh McDaniels now. Like, I don't know, but he got paid.
Yeah,
like Tyreek Hill left Patrick Mahomes because he didn't want to take a pay cut.
Yeah, that's
These
true.
guys want their money.
But he already got his ring too.
True.
I don't know.
I'll never fault. I just don't fault guys for get me paid and then.
Oh no, of course not.
We'll
Why? I mean, you can't. If it was you, you'd want every dime too. So would I.
I mean, I don't leave $1 on the table at UPS where I work during the day.
I don't blame you.
I can't even imagine what I'd be like if I were in the NFL, especially a top tier MLB, NFL, NBA player. I can't even imagine how I'd be. I would just be like, nope. It's like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with a ring? I mean, winning is cool. I would definitely want that. Check it off the old bucket list, but am I gonna sign that?
It depends it depends how good a player you are. I mean, if you're a great player, you want to have that ring because it's kind of the consummate thing. I mean, like Doug is a World Series champion, right? So
yes,
I mean, and you know what? No matter what, nobody can ever take that away from you. I mean,
Doug,
when we talked to Greg Pryor, we had Greg Pryor on the show a couple of times, Doug. The one thing you could never take away from him was that he was on the Royals and he got the ring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and yeah, he contributed with a few big hits. You know, wasn't a major factor, but contributed with a few big hits. You get the ring, you got the ring. You're a winner. When you're always remembered that way.
Yep.
Regardless of how your career might go, you're still like Louis Soho, but he has 3 rings, right? I mean, you know, nobody would think
a hell of a lot. That 1 year he did it. He's always done a hell of a lot. But I get what you're saying. Like we always use the term the gold medal. Like for example, no one ever remembers what they hit in the Olympics. They remember they won a gold medal. And it's like and trust me, like I said, I was in the right place at the right time for the Boston team, but like I didn't really do anything memorable on that team in the World Series. But like, you know, like you're part of a group that, you know.
But Doug, you know what? When Sports Illustrated had the big picture of everybody piling up on the mound, guess whose picture was out there?
Correct.
You were almost front and center in that picture.
Yep. So I mean,
you know and I'm sure you probably signed that Sports Illustrated several times in your life.
Times, and I don't ever get tired of signing it.
Yeah.
But no, I think getting back to what you guys are talking about, like, yeah, like the ring is everything. Like the ring just validates everything. You know, it's like, you know, it's as much as it, you know, I use that as, you know, a lot of times where like, you know, we won a championship. I know, but like my favorite player of all time is Dan Marino, and I hate that for him that he doesn't have one. And it, you know, it wasn't Dan's fault. He couldn't play middle linebacker too. You know, he couldn't stop anybody. But
yeah, I have a couple of hockey players who I kind of felt that way, like Mike Gartner, who had like over 600 goals, never won a cup, and he was traded from the Rangers the year they won the cup.
Oh,
and yeah, they won the cup, but they traded him for a couple of grinders, which actually turned out everybody hated that trade, but it turned out to be the right trade because they needed size. And who was the Henry Lundqvist, great goalie on the Rangers, Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
No, never won the cup. They can never put a good enough team around him.
So I mean, that's
it happens. That you know, they never forget.
No, that's the truth. That's
how many times were you a free agent on the open market in your career?
Oof. 4.
Did you leave money on the table? Did you leave money on the table to go to maybe a better situation that didn't?
I wouldn't say I left money on the table, but like incentives were better at certain places. You know, for me, it was a lot different than most guys. I mean, mine was just more of like, okay, where's my opportunity to play, for one. And as you get older, and as I got older, like making the move to Pittsburgh, right? Like, okay, you know, they have starting guys everywhere. I'm going to get a chance to play in the National League. But if I do what I'm capable of doing come July,
that you're going to get traded.
I could probably get traded. And if I don't, I'm going to have a chance to make some incentives. So that's where, like, a move like I signed with the Royals. And I loved my time with the Royals. I played with, you know, Reggie Sanders and you know, Paul Bacco to Matt Stairs to Mark Guzelanek. A lot of good players. And Tony Graffinino. Loved David DeJesus. Loved every second of it. You know, Alex Gordon was a puppy. But like knowing, sign with there, going, okay, I ended up blowing my back out, but that year not get traded at the deadline. But like that's you have that in the back of your head going, okay, if I get maybe I find a place to play early from April through July, then if I get off and a contender needs a first baseman, because that year the Angels and the Tigers needed a first baseman. And I think Teixeira went to Anaheim and Sean Casey went to the Tigers, and the Tigers that year went to the World Series. So you know, that's what you're kind of hoping for.
Michael Chromiak, getting into some Trey Lance stuff with the Niners. What do you guys think of Jerry making it very public and clear that he did not consult Mike McCarthy or Dak before trading for Trey Lance?
I mean, are we ever surprised at what Jerry does? I mean,
no.
I mean, quite honestly, like, I mean, he's the boss. He can do whatever he wants to do. And quite honestly, like, I wasn't really paying attention to the world today as far as the sports world, but like Dak shouldn't care they traded for Lance. Who cares? Like if you didn't tell the head coach, he's obviously not in this year's plans anyways. So like that's what I get a kick out of. Like when people are like, oh, he didn't talk to the quarterback or the coach. It's like didn't talk to the quarterback. Like why do you have to talk to me? Like, what does that say if Dak says, I don't want don't make that trade? How dare you bring in competition for me? Like, that just doesn't bode well. It doesn't just sit well, right? It's like people that get mad at that are like, wait a minute, you think Dak's that fragile to be like, yeah, like, he's the quarterback of the Cowboys. Like, he doesn't need to talk to me. And that's the way I feel about that. I mean, it's just like maybe. I mean, I think you'd want to talk to the head coach. I would think
Dak's going to be the starter.
Of course,
yeah.
Like, that's not a big deal. But the fact that he didn't even say, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think?" to the head coach. That's why I think the Cowboys
I'm more upset with I'd be more upset with the fact he didn't. If I was that, put myself in either Dak's shoes, I wouldn't care. Like, that's whatever. I'll meet him when he gets here. If I'm McCarthy, I'm like, hang on a second. We're 48 hours away from making roster cuts, and now you're bringing another quarterback into the mix. Like, you didn't even tell me about it. Like, that might mess up, right? That can mess up a lot more than just one spot, because then all of a sudden you might be short here, or you have too many here, or now I'm carrying 3 or 4 quarterbacks, and now I got to carry one less DB, which might hurt you in week 1, or whatever the roster configuration is. That's the stuff that if I was McCarthy, I'm like, wait a minute, you did this without even talking to us?
Well, I think it brings merit. I said a couple weeks ago, I think Dallas starts 2-4. They go into their bye week, and they have a new coach coming out of their bye week. It puts more merit in that, because if he doesn't.
I didn't even look at that. I didn't even think about it that way. That's. I mean, what's that tell you from McCarthy? Like,
he better
just
start
stand there
fast.
and hold his feet up and don't mess up a timeout.
Yeah. Start fast.
And it also tells Dak, if you start spraying interceptions all over Jerry World, there might be somebody coming in.
I don't think that.
I don't buy that.
It's more of the McCarthy thing. Like, how do you, like, if I'm like looking around going, did I miss the memo? Like, when did I get put on this island all by myself?
Like, Trey Lance, I mean, he could be a gimmick. Like, he could be like, hey, Mike, like, we're going to bring in Trey Lance. Like, why don't you start drawing up some Wildcat stuff or trick plays for him?
Well, I mean, as far as Jerry goes, like, your job as the owner, and obviously he's like the GM, the president, whatever you want to do. There's a million titles he has. You can't fault him for bringing in talent. Like, the guy, the Niners, who everybody I think respects in the NFL about the way they do things and the way they find talent, just let go of a guy who they traded up to get, right? And like, now I have a chance to kind of keep him under my wing and find out. It's a free look at a high pick that doesn't need the pressure to play. So, I mean, if Dak gets hurt, he finds a way to come in there, does well for a couple games. Now you've got a trade chip where you might be able to get a second rounder back or a third rounder back or whatever it is to get back for a starting quarterback. So Jerry, that's what good teams do. They bring in talent on the cheap.
Well, he definitely did that.
Chrome, with you on my there. They never put a suitable defense around him. The defense always fell apart in December, year after year.
And we couldn't play in the snow. We just weren't built for the snow. The one year we had a shot was, what was it, 90? I want to say 92, 93. We hosted the AFC Championship game against Buffalo in Miami. And I thought, this is it. We're going back. We're going to the Super Bowl. But we finally have Buffalo at home. Game over. And Buffalo. Now, they want to make a big deal about Buffalo losing four times. Like, the Dolphins lost, I think, 3 or 4 of them that to go. So, cry me a river, Buffalo. Like, I would have loved to have gone 4 times. But, yeah, I mean, they always crumbled. I feel like Hootie and the Blowfish, man. The Dolphins make me cry. Like, during Marino years, they did. Like, they broke my heart. They broke my heart.
Yeah, it's really too bad they never put together a good enough team around him. He was unbelievable. I'll never forget that one play against the Jets when he faked the spike.
Oh yeah,
and then he threw a touchdown pass, and the Jets all stood there watching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that was classic Marino.
Yep.
And then who were his weapons, Doug? Who were his main weapons?
Mark Duper and Mark Clayton.
Mark Clayton was good.
Mark.
But then we got into the 90s and
O.J. McDuffie.
O.J.
That's not.
Rondé Gadsden, Irving Fryer. We had every great tight end known to man. I mean, we had Jim Jensen was another one late. There was a third down back that he used a lot. I was trying to Keith Jackson. Like he had some tight ends. Like we always brought in some great ones. But like O.J. McDuffie was kind of like his go-to as he got older. Irving Fryer. I'm starting to draw a blank. You're making me Nat Moore. Like those guys. I mean, like I just remember growing up with the Duper brothers. Like the Mark Clayton, Mark Duper were just like he'd air it out 40 times a game and just blow people away. I just love the way I would try to act like him in the backyard for decades. Just I love the way like he'd throw an interception and wouldn't even chase after the guy. I'm like, just give me the ball back. I'm gonna go down and score anyway. So give me the ball. I just loved it. Like I loved when he yelled at people. Everything about it was just like it changed my childhood. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he was fun to watch.
You're never out of a game. You could be down 21 points and 8 minutes left, and like, hang on. If we get one to stop, this is going to get interesting, and it always did.
Yeah, it's too bad he wasn't the one on San Francisco and Montana wasn't the one on Miami.
Yeah, it
could have been him that won all those Super Bowls.
It would have been a little different.
The GOAT, I mean, that's
different.
Do you think
that team kind of changed? The team kind of changed the defense when Jimmy Johnson took over. We had Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas and those guys, and I know we won the one playoff game. I think what the hell was that? We shouldn't have won it. And then Jacksonville beat the everlasting what out of us.
Yeah, it was 90.
We lost like 99. We lost like 65-7 or something.
That was his last game.
Yeah, we got clobbered.
Do you think there's a comp to Dan Marino in today's game? Is it Herbert? Is it Mahomes?
I think it's Herbert. I mean, just size, arm strength. Herbert obviously moves better. But like that, I just love that. And Josh Allen too. I mean, Josh Allen can run a little bit, but Josh Allen has that kind of like F you mentality. Like, come on, man, I got us. Like, I love that. Like, I love that in competitors. I just like.
Well, he never seems to be bothered by never seems to be bothered by the interceptions. He just give me the ball back. We'll get a touchdown in the next drive. Mm-hmm. No big deal.
I could, as much as I dislike the Bills growing up as a Dolphins fan, like I like watching Josh Allen play. I like watching Justin Herbert play. I appreciate the bigger, powerful arm guys that can just sling it all over the place.
Oh yeah, you gotta love quarterback.
Patrick Mahomes, like obviously those guys are Joe Burrow, like that. It's just Joe Burrow's got that attitude that you're just like, I love it. Like I can
remember Ken Stabler.
Yeah, I was a little young for that, but like my dad always talked about liking him.
Yeah, so. the medium, like the 10 to 15 yard pass. I never saw anybody more deadly on those passes.
Mm-hmm.
He was remarkable in that area, and he also had some unbelievable receivers too.
Yeah, he had some pretty good hands out there.
Oh yeah, God yes.
So with the AFC West, is this a 2 playoff team? Obviously, the AFC.
I hope not.
The AFC, that wouldn't be good for your Dolphins, that's for sure.
No,
but I do think the Chiefs and the Chargers make the playoffs.
I mean, I agree. As much as I don't want to be a homer, but I don't see the Chargers not getting into the playoffs. I just don't see it. I just feel like they're too good, and that kid's gonna win them. I think he can win 3 or 4 games by himself, 4 games that don't look good, and he can just come back and make a fourth quarter, comeback. I just think he's that good. As much as I don't want them to be a 2 playoff division, I think they are.
Well, I'll tell you what, the AFC has, in my opinion, probably the 4 best quarterbacks in the game right now. It's remarkable. You look at Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, and Josh Allen. I mean, those 4 guys are just phenomenal quarterbacks. And the NFC really, it's all Hurts. I mean, there's nobody even close to him. He's right there too, but I mean, he's got no competition at all in that league compared to what he is.
I think the AFC it's just worked out this year that it's that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is over there.
Now Aaron Rodgers is there. Like
we're talking about a 13-4 team last year that has Sam Darnold starting at quarterback in the NFC.
Yeah,
and we're talking about what's that?
You touched on it earlier, but are the Niners like Eagles are favorites in the NFC on paper at this time of year? Anything can happen, but like, is it the Niners that are the biggest competition?
Biggest threat to the Eagles are the 49ers.
Is there a runner-up?
And here's why. I think because they play in such a crappy division that they don't like they have a chance to run off that 13-4 record, right? That maybe it's not conducive of what kind of team they are, but they, like that's where the Eagles. That's where it could get tough if you play in a tougher division because the Eagles might be better, but they might be 11-6, and you got to go to San Fran, which is crap because they're 13-4 because they get to play the Cardinals twice. They don't have to play the same schedule. So that's where it's tough too. Like San Fran at home, I don't know. I don't again, but I just think like San Fran's the only team that can like compete running game wise and defense wise when they're all healthy, where it's a game against Philly. I mean, who else do you see in the NFC doing that? The Cowboys, yes, but if a bunch of things happen, if. I trust what San Francisco does. Like again, they're starting Sam Darnold almost to like prove to everybody like it don't matter who we start at quarterback, we're still going to win games.
Yeah, they kind of are. They kind of are making that point. Maybe they can because Sam Darnold does have talent. It's not like he's.
Don't get me wrong, absolutely. But I mean, it's like it's almost.
We did see him at USC, and he was sensational.
It was like the second coming of Joe Montana. It was like, oh my gosh, this guy can move. This guy's big. He can do.
Yeah. What fan wouldn't have wanted to have him be drafted?
For sure, absolutely.
Draft him. I mean, I would have wanted the Giants to draft him instead of Barkley. I mean,
and then but they also have now where he can like if he, let's say, lives up to the hype of the second pick with that group, you might see all the magical qualities that we saw in Geno Smith.
Maybe he's back in California, and that'll bring out the best in him.
It's hard to be. Look for an upswing from 13-4, but if he lives up to the hype under Shanahan, like, how much better can they be? Like, he's done it with pretty much a first-year quarterback. This guy, has experience. So, I'd be, he
has a better arm, and he can run the football too.
Correct, and he doesn't have to be the savior. You just got to be, you don't have to be the guy. You just got to be one of the guys. And that's a big
play smart. All he has to do is play smart.
It's a big exhale for guys that were high picks that had a chance that felt like they had to live up to everything and they just be a guy. Just be one of the guys on the team and we're good.
The Niners go to Pittsburgh in week 1.
That's gonna be a bloodbath.
So
that's gonna be a tough game.
Talk about hitting the ground running, seeing what you got. Right off the bat, Sam Darnold, if he is the starter, or Brock Purdy, seeing what you got with half an arm, half an elbow. I did read an article here while we were on the air. Looks like he's going to be able to start week 1, Brock Purdy. That might not be good, though. I don't know.
I think that's why you signed Sam Darnold, right? So you don't rush that?
But you got to think they've seen something that they like in Sam Darnold to trade Trey Lance like they did. Unless they just wanted Trey Lance.
Or Trey Lance wasn't, it's you truly find out about a kid's character when when you first get drafted, you wait your turn, right? You're quiet. Yes, sir. Yes, coach, whatever. And then when you get a chance to play, and then you see someone have success when you weren't in there, and then you start to see like, oh, maybe I'm not the golden child anymore. Then attitudes change. There has to be something that comes out like in the future, like that something happened behind closed doors that I'm not starting rumors or anything, but like to me, it just seems awful fishy to give up what they gave up to make that pick. And after he finally gets the reins of the team and they had a good year, granted he wasn't healthy most of it, obviously, but like something's.
Yeah, maybe he just was really that bad in training camp.
They started him last year. Didn't they start him on week 1?
Yeah.
Wasn't he the starter?
Yes.
Yeah, he was the starter, right?
Yeah, they lost
one game against the Bears
with him quarterbacking.
And then in week 2 or 3, he was out. He broke his ankle or leg or ACL, whatever he did.
And then they realized, hey, I can win with Brock Purdy. So,
they put in Garoppolo, and then he broke his ankle.
Right.
And then they won with Brock Purdy, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
If they can win with Garoppolo, they can win with Sam Darnold.
But I didn't like the trade when they moved up to get him. I thought them and the Jets should have taken Justin Fields. I've said that a bunch of times, but I'm like, okay, like Shanahan's pretty smart. John Lynch is pretty smart. I guess they see something that the common fan like me doesn't see. But
again, I give them both credit for being like, okay,
done.
It ain't there.
And if he is a basket case, he'll fit right in Dallas.
Right. Well, just add to the list. Just add to the shit show. It's just like add to their own reality TV show. It's just, add to the other head cases that are already over there. Hopefully the kid figures it out. But you go from being drafted by the Niners to now you're backing up Dak in Dallas. Ooh.
It's a fall from grace.
That's not really where you want to be.
Like those,
you want to play.
Trey Lance, didn't he go to North Dakota? He went to the same place Carson went, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? Maybe I think so. Yeah, I think it's the same. They were
might have been a South, but I don't know. Maybe there's something in the water out there. They can't take it.
Oh,
fragile.
Don't get me started. I read what
it had to be something
said about
camp, though.
Ryan Clark. Don't let your name come out of my mouth or something like that. I was like, what? Like Ryan Clark is the most real guy on ESPN. And you just don't want him talking about you? Like, just because he said
that? Tua said that?
I forgot what it was. I don't know if it was even real, but I was kind of half asleep going in and out of class today. And I was like, what was it? It said, I can tell you what he wasn't doing. He wasn't in the gym. I bet you that. Ryan Clark said on Tua's offseason. And Tua came back with, I'd appreciate it if you kept my name out of your mouth. Tua responds to Ryan Clark's comments that he wasn't in the gym in the offseason.
Well, that tells me that Tua wasn't in the gym.
100%. And this is my point. Like, we keep, and like, this is where I argue with everybody in South Florida because they think I'm a Tua hater. I'm like, I'm not a Tua lover. I go, I'm not a lover of guys that come out after the first year say he didn't know the playbook. And like, that's
how does that happen?
Second year, like, I read the play. I'm much more into it this year. Or I went and worked out and got the best shape of my life. Hey, that's your job. That's the biggest overhyped term in the history of professional sports. What else are you supposed to do? You're supposed to get in the best physical shape of your life. That's your job. Like, I don't want to hear about it.
If Tua was in the gym and Ryan Clark said that, it'd be like whatever, dude. I'll see you week 1. You'll see.
Just like, yeah, like I can see why if you don't like it, I get it. But it's always something. Right now, I did jiu-jitsu or whatever, and I learned how to fall. I don't what? Like, because I got to protect my head. Like, and I get it. Like, no one wants to see him go through that hit on Monday night or Sunday Night Football, and the one he had with the Bengals or Thursday Night Football, and he's laying on the field like that. No one wants to see that. But the same token, like the Buffalo Bill hit was like, really? Like
that was not that big of a hit.
No, like that's him not knowing how to fall.
Yeah, right? that was not
the one. That was the one where they said he hurt his shoulder when he clearly hurt his head.
He just like fell backwards and hit his head and got up and he fell back down again. I'm like, well, like and it's not a knock against Tua. It's just Tua has no face to me when it comes to that. As an NFL quarterback, your durability is everything. It's everything. As a pro, you have to be available. And especially at the quarterback position.
Yep.
That's
key.
I'm not hating on the guy, but we can't ever get into a series of consistency if your quarterback's not back there every week. And like, if you're going to get love tapped and your brain's going to freeze on you, like you're not an NFL quarterback. And let's not forget, we took damaged goods with the 5th pick when we had a Lamborghini sitting right behind him, and we took the damaged guy. We took the beat up Pinto over the Ferrari. I mean, what's not to like 6'5", 240, can fly with a cannon? I don't know. I think I'll take that guy because he threw too many picks. So what? That's what you're supposed to do in college. Like, you're supposed to have – that's what you're supposed to have coaches for. I'll fix that. I can't make – no coach can make Tua 6'5" and make him move and make him get out of the way of contact.
Yeah, but he could throw the ball. He could throw the ball away.
Right. Like, it's already like hot potato already. Like, we snap it and God forbid.
That used to be a big issue for Daniel Jones until last year, Doug.
We can't get it out of our hand any quicker than we already do.
Yeah, well, the whole thing for him was that their offensive line was so bad he'd hold on to the ball forever. But last year he finally learned, the imaginary clock in his head finally would go off, and that's why he didn't fumble that much last year, because he'd he'd either get rid of the ball or he would just put the ball down and run. And that's Tua needs to do that too. Sometimes you need to run and get out of bounds and not get hit.
I just don't think he can't outrun anybody. I just don't think he can even do that. Like, I mean, we went through all this before. Like, with his hip, like, we didn't know if his hip was right when he first got here. It's like, throw it away. That's not my mentality. Well, it better be, because you're going to die out here. You're 5'11", and you can't run. You could not run guys in college. You're damn sure not outrunning guys in the NFL. Like, I mean. Like,
so does he have a cocky attitude problem?
I don't know. He's a humble. Like, to me, he comes off as humble, but he comes off as like, okay, like, you can't attack me too bad because I put up numbers. But I'm like, yeah, but it's like he's getting to the point where it's like you can't. Like, this was like on Tua-esque. Like, usually he's like, yeah, people are going to say what they want to say. I mean, I understand it when you don't like to hear it from a critic, but like, when another player says it, like, you just kind of let it go. You just take the high road. Don't let my name come out of your mouth. It's like lack of a better analogy. That's like a very Tim Anderson type answer.
Yeah.
You're not Tim Anderson. It's like, don't be that guy. Like, Tim Anderson goes to the post every night. Like, Tim Anderson, as much as like him or hate him, he plays. He's out there every damn night. Tua's not. You can't say that about Tua. And at the end of the day, like, I don't think we're that much worse with the third string guy. The third string guy put 35 up on Buffalo in a playoff game in the snow.
Yeah, he was very good.
Again, very good. So
very good. It wasn't Buffalo. It wasn't Buffalo. It was him. He just played really well.
For the Dolphins, like, fathead.
Yeah, but Doug, he played exceptionally well.
Thompson for president.
I mean, Tyreek Hill and Waddle. I mean, they can cover up a lot of deficiencies from your.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's what we're like. And again, it's like, okay, and then try to explain this to some people, like the new wave Dolphin fan that's the diehard Tua fan. I'm like, it took us having to draft and trade for the two fastest guys in the NFL to make him an NFL quarterback. Are you missing that part of it? Like, again, if we have to pay him $35 million a year or $40 million a year, you can kiss Tyreek Hill or Waddle or both of them. They're not going to be here anymore. So when you remove all that speed, you're going to be stuck with a guy who can't throw a 10-yard out on a line, and he can't stay healthy because if he gets someone sneezes on him, he's going to hurt his head. So, like, that's where I'm not trying to be – I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. Like, we had a guy who, like, could wait a half a second to a second longer with the ball because he's got a cannon. You let Tyreek Hill run one more second on the field, he don't have to throw into a tight window now. He's already outrun everybody, including the beer vendor that's in the 10th row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Herbert doesn't need the best U.S. track team in the history of the world to play receiver.
So Herbert's a lot bigger than him, though, too.
Oh, it's not even close. I think Tua can totally work in this offense, but like, I'm looking at the big picture here. Like next year we're gonna have to pay this dude, and we're not gonna have the ability to have Ramsey, Xavier Howard, everybody on the defensive line that we've got. Like, something's gonna have to break. We don't have it. Like, you don't just have endless funds.
Sure. I mean, you mentioned before we get out of here, Fandemonium coming up next, Sports Jeopardy, and we got Rivals coming up, Nightcap here on Monday night, A2D Radio. Brad's Yankees and a team that you are very fond of, the Tampa Bay Rays. Yesterday, they had They had some fisticuffs. Brandon Lowe.
See, they don't like getting thrown at, but meanwhile, they've been doing it to us for how many years now?
Teams don't like it when you throw their game back in their face.
Yeah,
that's like the Pirates hated all the way in the minor leagues. They hated guys who got hit. Well, they hit everybody, and the Rays do the same thing. Trust me, in the minor leagues, I had their field coordinator in my office complaining to me about how I keep drilling their guys. And I'm like, well, I'm just telling you right now, when you hit one of mine, you hit one of mine, I'm hitting.
The Rays are notorious for that.
I told him, the director to his face, you hit one of my kids, I'm hitting 2.5 of yours. So just understand this. I'm not mad. I'm just telling you, when my kids get hit, I'm hitting 2.5 of yours. And we'll just keep track. And I guarantee you'll stop hitting my kids. You don't like it, but you don't like when your game gets thrown back in your face. But it's okay for my kids to be a human pinata up there. But we're supposed to pitch around you? I don't think so. So, they would bunt and, put their knee on the plate. So I told my guys, hey, if first and third, push bunt, they do the push bunt thing with first and third. Right, left-handed hitter would put his knee over, the inner part of the plate. I told my guys to throw it right in the inner half of the plate. And we hit this poor kid right in the knee. It's well, you might want to teach it differently, because our kids are taught to, when you see hands, we go in. And that kid's knee that just got exploded was a strike. It was on the plate. So you need to change the way you're teaching the technique of this. And your kid won't have his knee explode at home plate from getting hit by a strike on the inside part of the plate.
What was their reaction?
We all remember.
Oh, they didn't like it. They did.
We all remember the CC Sabathia, that's for you, bitch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
Tampa Bay in a nutshell. They're always throwing it.
Tampa. Going back to George. George, rest in peace. He hated Tampa. He can't stand them. So
everybody hates them.
I told this about before. We would send the A squad in spring training to play the Rays. There was no hey, we're sending number 97 through 81 with the double flap helmet. No. You're getting Jeter, Sada. You're getting everybody but Mo. Mo stayed at home and threw his 9 pitches this spring. But everybody else, he sent the ace. He sent the death squad over there. He hates losing them at spring training, regular season, playoffs. It doesn't matter. He couldn't stand losing to them.
Well, the Mets and the Red Sox.
Correct, but the Rays, which I as a new Yankee, I couldn't believe. I was why is everybody going up? He's oh, he hates them. I'm makes sense. Okay, duly noted. So, but yeah, that's a nice little touch up they had there.
Yeah, 3. Well, they hit 3. They hit 3 Rays. That was to me, that was beautiful, because all the times that they've done it to us. I shouldn't say us. I'm not on the team, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's okay.
But
as much as you care about the Yankees, you can say us.
Okay. Well, yeah, they've been doing it to us for how many years now? And the only one that ever threw back at them was CeCe. Yesterday, it was just nice to see somebody say, "All right, you know what, you guys like a Rosarina. Rosarina, I'm sorry, he's an asshole. That guy is an asshole. And you know what? He gets hit too freaking bad. You know what? Don't stand there like an asshole all the time, talking shit. Yeah. All the time. Every time he gets a hit, he's standing on first base and he's yelling at the pitcher. It's shut up and just play."
Yep, it's funny how when they get a little time under them, the antics start to creep up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, what did you guys think of Brandon Lowe? His comments after the game, how he just kind of brushed off the.
How break your back, Brandon.
That was pretty cool.
He just kind of brushed off the Yankees as they're not into it, so we have better things to do than to worry about them. But they're hitting everybody all the time.
Well, you know what? That was a pretty why are you running on the field then trying to get into a fight?
Yeah. It's always the guy that asks that's always standing in the back.
Yeah. Of course.
Never in the middle of it. Right.
Like in Yankee Stadium, you know what they'd be yelling at him? Break your back, Brandon. Break your back.
They won't say it with that they Garrett Cole puts one in his L5. You won't be saying that anymore. That's just that's again, you gotta, if you're gonna say stuff, just know that, hey.
Well, Garrett Cole, I can't remember what team he did it against, but it was either last week or the week before. He got pissed off at somebody, and he took the next pitch, He took the next pitch and he threw it on the screen. And then he struck the guy out on the next pitch. And as he was going off the mound, he started with his finger pointing at the whole dugout and was challenging the whole dugout.
That was a while ago, wasn't it? Or he did it again?
When was that? It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, it was pretty funny though. I mean, that's just he didn't hit the guy, but he threw the ball into the screen just to make a point.
See that's entertaining to me. I like that stuff.
Do they have any more games against each other, Brad?
That's what I was going to ask you. They play each other again?
No, we're done. No, we're done with them.
That's why Brandon opened his mouth.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, but
that's probably why. That's probably why it.
They have long memories.
Sunday. He's a little fast kid. The little fast kid that runs his mouth and then runs his mouth to the bigger guy and then knows the bigger guy can't catch him, and he runs away from the playground.
Yeah, if he was on the Yankees, he'd be running his mouth, and then when Stanton and Judge are out on the field, he'd be hiding behind those two guys.
Yeah,
and then yelling sneaking out from the side and yelling something, and then then they look up and they see Judge and Stanton, and then they think they're the ones that yelled it.
Yeah, it's like Crosby for years. He would go out and be a pain in the ass and then go hide behind the biggest guy.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't stupid. And when he picks a fight with Claude Giroux, who's half his size.
Claude Giroux was tough in his heyday. I don't think that was it. I think Crosby can beat up anybody. All right, before we get out of here, anything else? Anything else on anybody's mind before we get out of here? Doug, you got a big game this weekend.
Let's go. Sunday night.
Heading down Sunday night.
Heading up Saturday. I'm going to try to stay out of trouble till then.
Oh, you'll stay out of trouble.
I don't know. I'm a little fiery when it comes to Florida State football. I'm either going to be in a really good mood on Monday or a really bad mood on Monday.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, hopefully, I mean, we're going to be rooting for you.
I just want us to. I hate to say this as much as I love winning and I hate losing. I just want us to show. If we lose, let it be a game like last year, where it's the most entertaining.
They'll show. They'll show. They might pull off. They may pull it off. You never know.
I just want them to be entertaining. I just want them to entertain and fight.
What's the plan, Doug? You got a tailgate going? You going with some buddies?
I got the whole baseball, the whole old Knowles baseball team will be up there. We go to a lot of them together, and
nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be. We had to pick sparingly for a while there because we were so bad, but now it's we're getting back to where we go. Yeah, back when Jameis's years, we were going 5-6 games a year on the road. We're debating how Sunday night turns out, whether we go to Clemson or not, because I will definitely go to jail there because me and Clemson we don't get along at all. So if we win this one, I have to admit I'm a very humble person, but when it comes to Florida State football, I'm an arrogant winner, and I love every second of it. So if we win, I'm a sore winner.
Completely understood.
Love it.
Brad,
anything else?
It's the passion, Doug. It's the passion.
Utah, Florida.
There's some games for sure.
There's some games this weekend.
That'll be a good game.
It was
Coach
last
Prime.
time.
Coach Prime making his debut.
Yep.
Good weekend. Very good weekend. Thursday through Sunday. I mean,
you think my boys can be 1-0?
Who's that? Rutgers?
Yeah. Think we could beat Northwestern?
Oh yeah,
maybe
we may not win. We may not win another Big Ten game.
They're a disaster. They got a new coach. They got that hazing thing going on. Whatever that happened.
Northwestern's either going 11-1 or 1-11. There's no happy medium. There's no.
Yeah. We may not win another game in the Big Ten if we don't beat them, because I don't know who else we're beating right now.
Well, long year.
Thursday, Florida, Utah.
What's Friday? Their games
Friday? There's games Friday. You got the Miami versus Miami. Miami, Ohio versus Miami, Florida. Colorado, Coach Prime's playing TCU. Virginia, Tennessee, that's a monster spread.
Clemson plays Duke, I think Sunday or Saturday.
Oh, blowout Duke.
Yeah, but it's just
it's probably a nasty game, though. North Carolina.
Washington, Boise State might be all right.
North Carolina, South Carolina won't be bad. Spencer Rattler in his 19th year of college eligibility should be all right.
He's still there?
He's at South Carolina.
Sheesh. Penn State, West Virginia, Alabama, Middle Tennessee. Who cares? I thought Clemson played Duke, right?
Duke.
Yeah, there it is. Clemson Duke. That's on Monday. That's on Labor Day night at 8.
Okay.
So, and then Florida State, LSU in Orlando. Florida State. Florida State a 2.5-point dog.
Yep.
That's a lot of that's a lot of respect.
We play well in Orlando.
That's respect that you're only 2.5 points. That they're only giving you 2.5 points.
Number 6 versus number 8.
We should have beat them by 2 scores last year. I mean, like they fumbled the punt again for like the 5th time, but we had 1st and goal from the 1. Norvell, it's my only beef with Norvell. We do some crazy dumb stuff inside the 3. And we get too cute. Sometimes it might cost us, but
sometimes you got to just take that offensive line and just bang them.
Hopefully this year we actually have one. We actually have one. So we got depth. So fingers crossed.
Well, we both wish you the best of luck. We'll be pulling for you.
And if we're losing by a lot and you see some guy run on the field, it's just don't worry, it's just me.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Buy an A2D shirt from our merchandise store online first, and then run on the field. Just don't. Doug, you're pretty big.
I'll do that for the
run pretty fast. Compared to Rob and I, you could probably run pretty fast, but you're not faster than they are.
No, I can't run 15 yards. I'll swallow my damn tongue. I won't make it very far.
All right. Thank you to our great sponsors. Thank you to everyone who commented, shared our show. Next Monday, have a safe Labor Day weekend, everyone, and we will be back at it on Monday for Week 1 of the NFL.
Let's go.
Have a good night, everybody.
Let's go.